انتوا بتسمعونا على STR The Sandy Times Radio. ثقافة، ميوزك وأكثر.
Welcome back to Watch the Icon, the podcast where legendary timepieces aren't just discussed, they're decoded. I'm Sophia Brontwine, publisher of the Sandy Times, and in this 9th episode of our 10-part series, we step into golden light and flip the story, literally. Last time, we studied the quiet force of the Cartier tank, a design born from the war machine and softened into cultural sculpture born by presidents, poets, and pop artists. Today, we turn to another rectangle, but this one moves. It pivots, it hides, it transforms. This is the story of the Jaeger-LeCoultre Reverso, a watch created for polo players in British India, reimagined through the decades as an Art Deco jewel, and now regarded as one of the most refined expressions of function meeting form. It's a watch that started with protection and became an icon of restraint, of geometry, of timelessness. Long before the Reverso, there was simply LeCoultre. The story begins in 1833 in the Valley des Joux, a secluded region in the Swiss Jura known for harsh winters and remarkable watchmaking. Here, a 30-year-old inventor named Antoine LeCoultre set up a small workshop focused on precision timekeeping. LeCoultre was no ordinary craftsman, he was an innovator. In 1844, he invented the millionometer, the world's most precise measuring instrument at the time, capable of measuring a micron, or 1/1,000,000th of a meter. This breakthrough helped make component manufacturing vastly more accurate, and in doing so reshaped the possibilities of Swiss watchmaking. But Antoine wasn't done. In 1847, he invented a keyless winding system, a device that allowed a watch to be wound and set using the crown instead of a separate key. It was elegant, user-friendly, and would become an industry standard. By the turn of the century, LeCoultre's workshop had grown into one of the most sophisticated manufacturers in Switzerland, capable of designing, producing, and assembling entire movements under one roof. A true manufacture intégré, rare then and even rarer now. Meanwhile in Paris, a brilliant watchmaker and entrepreneur named Edmond Jaeger was supplying ultra-thin movements to prestigious French maisons like Cartier. In the early 1900s, he challenged Swiss firms to produce movements to his demanding specifications. LeCoultre took up the challenge. The result was a partnership, unofficial at first, then formalized in 1937, when the two names merged to form Jaeger-LeCoultre. Together, they created some of the most important horological achievements of the 20th century. The Atmos clock, 1928, which runs on air using temperature changes to power its movement. The Duoplan, 1925, an ultra-thin ladies' watch with a revolutionary layered movement. The Calibre 101, 1929, still the smallest mechanical movement ever made. And of course, the Reverso, the most elegant solution to a rigid problem ever put on a wrist. Jaeger-LeCoultre didn't just make its own watches, it powered others. For decades, its movements were found inside timepieces by Patek Philippe, Vacheron Constantin and Audemars Piguet, earning it the nickname the watchmaker of watchmakers. Today, the Maison remains a true manufacturer based in Le Sentier, still producing everything in-house, from balance wheels to complications to hand-finished cases. And though its innovations are many, the Reverso remains its most poetic creation. Let's flip to the 1930s. The British Raj was wearing its twilight, but polo was still very much in vogue. The gentleman's contact sport of princes and colonels played under the scorching sun on horseback, mallets flying, hoofs pounding. But the sport had a problem. Wristwatches relatively new at the time, weren't built for that kind of violence. And so the story goes. A group of British officers approached a Swiss businessman named César de Trey after a match in India. One of them showed him his cracked watch crystal and said, "Surely someone could make a watch tough enough for Polo." De Trey brought the challenge to his associate, Jaeger-LeCoultre, owner of the LeCoultre manufacturer in the Valley du Joux, one of the most sophisticated movement producers in Switzerland. The idea was then passed to French watchmaker Edmond Jaeger, and together the two names, already linked in the partnership, became permanently fused. By 1931, the team had a solution: a watch with a rectangular case that could flip over, protecting the dial during play, exposing only a solid metal case back to the whack of a stray mallet. It was rugged, clever, and unexpectedly beautiful. Thus, the Reverso was born. From the very beginning, the Reverso wasn't just practical, it was profoundly elegant. The original model measured around 38mm long and 24mm wide. Modest by today's standards, but perfectly in line with the slim wrists and tailored cuffs of the interwar era. Its Art Deco lines, triple guardrooms at the top and bottom of the case, long linear proportions, and rectangular dial made it instantly iconic. The name Reverso was a Latin nod to its turning ability. I turn around. But it also hinted at something deeper, a duality, a hidden self, the idea that one object could carry two identities. The earliest Reversos came with animal on the reverse side or were simply left blank, ready for engraving. Many were monogrammed or decorated with family crests, personal dedications, or miniature paintings. This blank case back quickly became a canvas, both literal and emotional. Inside, Jaeger-LeCoultre used its own movements. Small, manually wound calibers with a reputation for reliability and slimness. But it wasn't just what was inside that mattered. It was what the watch represented. In an age when the Bauhaus preached form follows function, and Art Deco lines were slicing through architecture, fashion, and even ocean liners, the Reverso fit in perfectly. It wasn't a watch trying to be fashionable, it simply was. It appeared on the wrists of European aristocrats, international jet-setters, and tastemakers from Paris to Buenos Aires, and it transcended gender. While initially marketed to men, it didn't take long for women to adopt it, especially as Jaeger-LeCoultre began to produce smaller, jeweled versions of the Reverso, with mother-of-pearl dials, diamond-set cases, and colored straps. In its earliest decades, the Reverso proved it could be whatever the wearer needed: sports watch, cocktail piece, artistic object, or silent messenger. But even icons faced challenges. The post-war years brought change. The Reverso, now considered an old-fashioned idea in the face of modern watchmaking, quietly left the Jaeger-LeCoultre catalogue by the 1950s. The quartz crisis of the 1970s and early 80s only deepened the silence. Jaeger-LeCoultre, like many vulnerable maisons, faced economic uncertainty and shifting tastes. The Reverso was all but forgotten. Until a young man named Gunther Blümlein came along. Blümlein, who would later revive Lange & Son and help reshape IWC, saw in the Reverso not an outdated concept, but an untapped myth. In the early 1980s, under his guidance and in collaboration with the Richmond Group, Jaeger-LeCoultre brought the Reverso back, not as a nostalgia piece, but as a design platform. And this time, it stayed. By the 1990s, the Reverso had evolved into a full-fledged collection. There were models with two dials, one on each face, allowing the wearer to track different time zones or transition from day to evening. Others introduced complications: Moonphases, tourbillons, chronographs, perpetual calendars. The Reverso duo face became a signature, with one dial typically lighter, the other darker, allowing a quite shift in mood or function. And then came the Reverso Jura tourbillon, the Grand Complication a triptych, and the mind-bending tribute non-ATM, mechanical marvels that fit astonishing complexity into the rectangular format. Yet throughout, the core design language never wavered. The guardrooms, the proportions, the flip, all intact. Because, at its heart, the Reverso wasn't about showing off. It was about transformation. The Reverso doesn't clamor for attention. It has no bezel to polish, no lugs that shout. What it has is presence. It's been worn by monarchs like King Edward VIII and collectors like Clive James. It has whispered its way onto the wrists of Amal Clooney, Matt Damon, Jay-Z, and even Christian Louboutin. For many, it's a lifelong companion. For others, a secret indulgence. Engravings on the reverse often tell stories never spoken. Anniversary dates, poetry, portraits. The back of the Reverso becomes a private theater for memories, for love, for legacy. In an industry often obsessed with novelty, the Reverso remains proudly consistent. It doesn't need reinvention, because it already is one. It solved the problem with grace, and in doing so, defined a new aesthetic. It has quietly hosted some of the most complicated movements ever created, all while remaining humble in form. The Reverso endures not because it shouts louder than the rest, but because it doesn't need to. It's proof that innovation, when done right, becomes invisible, seamless, inevitable. Today, the Reverso is available in dozens of variations. From the classic tribute to 1931 models to the ultra-slim Reverso Classic to the radiant Reverso One with its feminine proportions and jewelry detailing. And for the true connoisseur, Jaeger-LeCoultre's Atelier Reverso allows for full customization. Casebacks engraved with initials, artworks, star maps, or even functional complications made to order. It's not just about personalization, it's intimacy. That's it for episode 9 of Watch the Icon. The Jaeger-LeCoultre Reverso was born to survive Polo, but it became a canvas for elegance, a stage for engineering, a sanctuary for memory. It's not just a watch, it's a metaphor for protection, duality, and enduring grace. Next time, we close our series with a quiet masterpiece. In episode 10, we explore the enduring purity of the Patek Philippe Calatrava, a watch that doesn't shout, flex, or flash. And yet, it may be the most perfect expression of Swiss horology ever created. Launched in 1932 at the height of the Great Depression, the Calatrava wasn't made to chase attention. It was made to define restraint, proportion, and purpose. A circle, drawn with absolute clarity. It's the alpha and omega of dress watches, and the spiritual core of Patek Philippe. If you've been enjoying the series, don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and share Watch the Icon with your fellow horology enthusiasts. Got a reverse on your wrist? Show us how you wear it. We are always watching.